Brian Phillips here. We have a special garbage bag. We're gonna open this thing up right now, and it's gonna be exciting.
It's not even a garbage bag.
I know. It's like a DHL bag.
An actual package.
Let's see what happens. Well, I mean, this is the only company we review for that sends things in a bag. So we are always gonna give credit where credit is due. Wow, that's fancy. We got an E130. It's an Eachine. Why is it that every time I have to hold a package, it's always upside down for you people at home? See this? Right side up. Also right side up.
Oh, there you go.
I don't understand why that is. Okay, so this is the Eachine E130. 15-minute flight time, altitude hold. Altitude hold is super cool because we've had that on one of the other Eachine helicopters. Or actually, that was a quad, I think. A little drone thing.
No.
It was a heli?
I think it was that
This
little
one's just a
helicopter.
bigger one. Okay, so it comes with the user's manual. I'm sure it's probably pretty useless. A little Batman style remote control. Comes with some extra spare stuff. Make sure the battery power is full. It's kind of like English so far. That's interesting.
Eachine's kind of hit and miss on their
manuals.
manuals.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, bag of goodies. What do we got in the bag of goodies? We've got spare main rotors. We've got a tail rotor and a main gear that's got a D shape to it, so it must just slide on there. And then it's got a set screw from the side there. Somebody asked me a question about that the other day. I reluctantly could not answer it. It's got the USB style plug and then a 2S balanced charge lead, meaning 2 cells in series. That's why there's 3 pins, one for ground, cell 1, and then cell 1 to cell 2. Okay, so we get the bag. Okay, no foam, just plastic. Okay. Yeah, I just can't believe things make it all the way from China in this packaging.
Yeah.
And it just does fine. Okay, so far so good. Really nice caps that terminate the connection to the body of the heli. I don't know if those have to spin or what. They feel like they're on there really good. Okay, good. Usually it's just a grommet.
Okay.
So as you can see here. So right there, that comes off. They shoot across the counter really easy, so be careful. We'll show you underneath real quick. The grommets are nice. Okay. There's a controller. That is a brushed motor. A little disappointing there. Not the end of the world. The screw passes all the way through the gear. So it's not a set screw, it's a screw, which is probably a good thing. Okay, and we've got a 2S battery here. This one is a 700 milliamp hour, 5.18 watt hours. So it's got a JST connection here for the discharge lead, and then silicone leads for the balance. That's good. This is the balance plug, guys. That's what goes in. Before we dig any further, let's get this thing plugged in, except we might have something new and exciting here. What is this? Oh, batteries time 3. Okay, wow. Sweet. Okay, so yep. So we've got 3 batteries like this. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. So they're actually packaged with foam. That's nice.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're gonna get this with 3 batteries, that is a lot of flight time.
Yeah.
Because if it's supposedly gonna fly for 15 minutes, that means you could be flying this for, that's like an hour.
An hour?
Really? An hour of flight time? That's crazy. That's a long time. Okay, so let's look at the Batman controller. I guess I was gonna get the batteries charging. So let's push that out there, lay that aside. Controller fits my hand okay. It's not great, it's not bad. Got a physical on-off button, trim buttons, not sure if they do anything. And then trigger here, trigger there. And they do have a screw in there to prevent you getting in and eating your batteries. So it does come with a screwdriver, incidentally, which is kind of handy. That is a really small tip. Look at that. They've machined the tip down even more from the shaft side. That's pretty crazy. But the screwdriver works really nice. Okay, so we're gonna pop this open. Ah, there it is. I dropped that little triangular thing. Okay, so it looks like this runs on 4 AAA batteries. That is
Oh.
a major change from what we've seen in the past. They're almost always 3, 4, or 6 AA's. So without further ado, we're gonna clean up our packaging. We'll show you the charger coming right back next. Okay, so you gotta put your batteries in first. So we got AAA 1, AAA 2, AAA 3, woo, AAA 3, AAA 4, of course the flat side. Wow, that's a really nice AAA, look at that. That did not come with the batteries, or did not come with the Heli, but we're gonna go ahead and use that in here. I've never seen one dented like that, that's crazy. Okay, so the flat goes toward the spring, obviously, guys, that's the negative side. The positive side is the bump. Okay, so we'll just turn this on, make sure it works. You'll notice since this would be normally considered a mode, this would be a mode 2 helicopter. It tells you the percentage, that's pretty cool, of where the stick is moving. That's kind of interesting. Okay, see? So normally on a mode 2 transmitter, you're gonna have a throttle here, but the throttle is gonna be going down and it's not spring loaded. But because this has the altitude hold, I believe you just press the up and it'll take off, which is pretty cool. So really good for beginners, but it's nothing like flying a real helicopter, or not real, but a collective pitch helicopter. Okay, so the transmitter is powered on. We'll just go ahead and shut that off for the moment. The little display seems nice. It's just a liquid crystal display. Doesn't seem to have any backlight in it, which is fine too. So that being said, I've taken the time to mark my batteries just so I know what they belong to. It is sometimes kind of hard to keep things like this straight when you got a bunch of little Helis around. So let's go ahead and plug those in and get them charging. Now, since this is a 700 milliamp hour battery, I'll show you one way to charge them and I'll show you another way to charge them. So there's little USB plugs on the end of here. These are Spectrum 30 amp power supplies. In our case, where's the little black charger? Okay, so we found a USB plug you could use on your laptop or whatever you've got here. This just says the input voltage and the output voltage. 5.2 volts at 1.35 amps, that's a reasonable range. This thing is unmarked, so I can't actually say exactly what's needed, but I'm assuming that should be fine. If you use a really high current output, which is the amp reading, then you could run into problems. When you plug it in, there's a flashing light. You can see it from this side. I'll just plug it in over here. So as you plug this thing in, you can see there's a flashing light there. That flashing light indicates that it's on. And then when you plug this in, it starts going to a solid state, okay? So real quick, before we get too far into this, I'll show you what happens when you put this up to a voltage tester. This little cheap voltage tester, of course, we linked all this stuff in the description below. We'll tell you what the cells read. So it's 2 cells. In total, it's 7.83. Cell 1 is 3.92 and cell 2 is 3.91, which is just slightly over the charge rate. Of course, we link to stuff like this too. This is a more sophisticated one, but it's still going to do the same thing for what we're doing. It says it's at 3.908 and 3.907. So it's well balanced. That's always good. So when you plug it into here, this thing is going to charge the battery for you one cell at a time. That's why it's called a balanced charger. It's going to charge both of them, but it's going to charge each of them to 4.2 volts. And it's not going to overcharge each of the cells, because that's where you kind of create your danger zone. So that being said, that's one way of charging. This is just a tester. Because I have so many of these, I'm going to show you how I'll set up to charge 4 of them at one time. You certainly don't have to do it this way, but you could. This is a more sophisticated charger still. We're going to plug this in. This is called a Spectrum S2100. We link to this in the smart chargers down below in the description. And you can get yourself all sorts of nice little doohickeys like this. This plugs in to give you an adapter from an IC3 to your JST connection, okay? That's going to allow you to plug into this. Once you plug that in, then this little balance lead goes into the balance charge port, okay? Oops, I had that upside down. Okay, so then that tells you your information about your pack. Okay, so once you see the information about your pack, you can click and then start. So this is called a 2-channel charger because it's going to allow you to charge 2. In the past, I used things like this, which is a balance board. You don't have to necessarily get this sophisticated, but when you end up with hundreds of batteries, then this is the sort of thing you do. In my case, I'm probably just gonna plug them in like this and charge them one at a time. And this is gonna allow me to charge much, much faster. So basically, this one says the fast charge is done, which is kind of interesting. So now it's gonna go ahead and get things balanced. That is weird. It's set as a lithium ion. Why is it set as a lithium ion? See this? That's supposed to be set as lithium polymer. And this is 4 amps, would be a little bit too fast. You want to set that rating. This is a 700 milliamp hour, so it's safe to charge at 0.7 amps per hour. And then start. Now that's going to charge this battery, which is 700 milliamp 2S. Okay, so we'll let those charge. You could probably charge them a little bit closer to 2C, which would be 1.4 amp hours. So while that's charging, we can get the rest of this set up. We took the front off earlier, and that was just so we could show you what it looked like inside of here. This is a flight controller and receiver. That's why there's an antenna there. And then of course the servos plug in here, and then the battery, or excuse me, the power plug for the motor is right here. So this is just a brushed motor, so there's only 2 wires. If it was brushless, there would be 3 wires. And in this case, we're gonna go ahead and just slide these back on, and all you have to do to put that canopy back on or the hood back on is to just slide those grommets onto these shafts here. It's super easy. You shouldn't actually have to take that off too often. Maybe once in a while you might have some maintenance you need to do in there, like plug a wire back in or replace the servo or whatever. So I'm just showing you kind of how this works so you can get a feel for how nicely it goes together. Without further ado, we're gonna fly it. We always fly the aircraft for you. And this is small enough to easily fly inside. I don't know if it's gonna be a great heli to fly outside. It is definitely a little bit bigger than some of the Eachine models we've run into before. Gosh, those things are kind of a pain to get on there. But they look nice. Mm-hmm. See? It's a pretty helicopter. Okay, so also, I didn't mention it, but there's an Allen wrench that's included with that hex drive to go ahead and tighten or loosen the blades and then replace these. They are labeled as A, both of them. Okay, so we can just throw that in the bag. And then there's a screw that would be used to retain that back cover on there. If you were using it for a kid, then you'd want to, or if you have small children around, you put that screw in, and that prevents your kids from pulling the batteries out and eating them and things like this. So without further ado, now we wait for the batteries to charge, and while they're charging, we'll take a look at the manual and see if anything is worthy of review. So if you're getting this battery plugged in as you're unpackaging this helicopter and hoping to fly it by the time you have the helicopter ready, you're going to be a little disappointed because this thing's going to take a while to charge. That being said, it is going to fly for a long time. So I'll show you my other charging technique. This is a 2-channel charger. So this is just a 1-channel charger. So it just charges one at a time. So in this case, I have one charging here, and then I have a couple on this balanced charger setup I had. Okay, so you can do this a bunch of different ways. In this case, I'm charging it at 1.4 amps. This one, just as a test, I ran it to 2.1 amps, which would be about 3C, 3 times the charging rate. That's standard. And this is a 700 milliamp cell. And then this is another 700 milliamp cell, but they're in parallel. So it's treated as a 700 milliamp pack. Okay, so you can see when we look at this, it's at 4.19 and 4.2. So it's going to go for a little bit longer. It's pushed in 142 milliamp hours, and that's just a function of timing. So at the rate that it was charging, it's pushed in 143 milliamps, okay, on a 700 milliamp pack. So this could go for a little while longer. So I just want you guys to know that we're going to stop this, okay, and I'm going to unplug it, and we'll use this for our testing, or not so much testing, but just our initial flying, just because we want to test it. Yours will probably fly a little bit longer if you let it charge all the way. When I say all the way, so that just slides in there. While we were off camera, we were reading about the setup of this, And I've already taken my little triangular covers off because I had 2 of them pop off immediately. So if you don't want to be dropping little things all over your house, just take them off because they're not really necessary anyway. I think it looks just as good without them. Yeah. So that being said, when you plug these things in, you need to be a little bit careful to keep your wires from getting into the gears. So I usually try to tuck my leads in like this so that they go in. The balance lead will go under. And then this is the discharge lead. So you got to be especially careful there, okay? So this only plugs one way. It's keyed. You can't plug it in wrong, but plug it in and then quickly get it on its feet and then leave it, okay? So I turn this on, up and then down, and you're noticing it's not working, okay? That's because I did this in reverse order. Typically with an aircraft, you always want to have this on first, okay? So you want to start with turning on your transmitter, have your hands as safe as they can be, and then plug in the helicopter, okay? Then leave it up and then down. See, it's not doing anything. So then sticks down and out, and that's not doing anything. Then up, then down.
Should be up and down.
And then there's also this, which is calibration.
Yep. This says move throttle sticks to top position and then bottom position, and the remote control should beep and it should go to long light. So you're still in binding mode because it's flashing. Do you have to move both sticks up and down?
You know why? Because this is in mode 2, or this is in a different mode.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to talk about now. So I must be in the mode 1, okay, because throttle's over here. I want mode 2. So I'm going to press this button. See how it says medium and high? I don't know how to indicate.
Press this key, mode 1, mode 2 to convert.
Yep. Because look, this is moving the ailerons, not the throttle. See, that's forward and backward. So I'm in mode 1 right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is not the way I want to fly.
Because it's backward.
Because it's backward. And if you're used to mode 2, you want mode 2. If you're used to mode 1, you want mode 1. And yes, there are more than 2 modes, but those are the 2 primary ones.
Yeah.
So that being said, I have to figure out how to switch that. So I'm going to unplug the power to the helicopter and just let that sit. And then I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to leave this off. I'm going to turn this on. And I'm going to press this and hold it and see what happens. Nothing. So I'm going to press it. Nothing. Because this is the button you're supposed to press. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it may already be there. I don't know. So now I'm plugging in the helicopter. I'm going to press this and see if it changes. Up, then down. See, it's still in mode 1. Mm-hmm. Okay, up, then down, nothing. So if I go up, then down, it arms it. So there's a one-touch takeoff feature, which is down here, but I want to get this figured out for mode 2. So we'll pause it and come back and let you know how to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so the manual is totally useless for most of this stuff because it's not going to explain it. It says to press a button and it's going to change you from mode 1 to mode 2. Okay, but they don't even talk about this. The right-hand throttle, okay, that's mode 1. That's the way mine came. That's going to confuse most of you if you're used to flying radio-controlled airplanes in North America. So you have to switch it. Well, you're just supposed to be able to press this button. That's not the way it works. Turn this off. My battery's unplugged, by the way. Press and hold this while powering, and then you move the stick. That's what I had to do, okay? See how it says LH? Okay, now watch this. While powering, I'm holding this button. There's something about this sequence that allows you to maybe I'm pressing, maybe it's from pressing, because there's some of these controllers have a button in here. But you'll notice it's working now as a left hand, which means when I do this, you can tell that I've got it switched. Lights on. See, it's going to arm. Up, down. Up, then 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 down. There's high rate, there's medium rate. Up, then down. Arm, up, then down. Up, then down. Calibrate, up, then down.
Probably should turn it all off and start over.
Yeah, probably. Off.
Nope, transmitter first.
I'm gonna try this first.
Okay.
Okay, so flashy light, up, then down. I wonder if that's the left-hand mode is actually designated. See that?
Yeah,
you have to
switch
have
back
the
to
helicopter on first. That's what it is. So from this being off, plug in your helicopter first. Light comes on. Press and hold this, then turn that on. Flashy light goes fast. Up, then down. Now it's left-hand mode.
Yep.
So it's not just one button, okay? It's more than one button. I'm gonna go over this start to finish. Suppose you want it in right-hand mode, because I have it in left right now, which would be, suppose you want it to be like this, okay? I currently have it set like this. Suppose you want it to be like this, okay? This is how you're gonna do it. Your transmitter's off, you have batteries in it. Your battery's installed but not plugged in. You're gonna plug in your helicopter. It's gonna flash. There's a little light I'm talking about right here. You can see it through the canopy, okay? Then you're gonna take this in your hand, you're gonna press this down as you turn it on. You're gonna move the right stick up and down, okay? Up, then down. Press and hold it, up, then down. Press and hold it, up, then down, up, then down. See, up, then down. There you go. See how it switched? You gotta do it quick. There's just that certain time when it works. Now this is how you can tell this is throttle now. When I move this, it moves the controls, okay? It doesn't change the speed of the propeller or the, okay. Now we're gonna unplug both. I'm gonna switch it back. Plug this in, lights start flashing. While powering, on. See, now it's left hand.
So you gotta do it fast.
You gotta do it just right away. Okay, up then down. Okay, so now that's working. Everything is working. So now, take off. That was pretty easy. That's a one-touch takeoff. So, as I move the stick, it moves the position of the helicopter. Okay. But it's keeping its position where it needs to be, okay? Which is pretty good. So that's a pretty good altitude hold there, because that's half the battle. There's a lot more wind hitting this table than if it was over here, okay? So you see it's keeping the altitude very well managed, okay? So then you can use this stick to yaw the helicopter. It's kind of proportional. Now I am in medium rates. Okay, so when I press up on the stick, it raises the altitude. When I press down on the stick, it lowers the altitude. But then all the rest of the controls are the same. So you pull back, it comes back to you. You push out, it goes away from you, and then you can yaw the aircraft, and then you can coordinate your axis of control to fly into a circle, for instance, and then you can also add in the up and down effects, which is pretty cool. I mean, this is a lot better than what it was when we first started flying these things, you know? Now that does not prevent it from running into obstacles, so you need to be aware of that. So let's see if we can do a one-touch landing here. Let's land on the island where we took off from, okay? So this button is the one-touch landing. I don't think it matters what mode you're in. I'm just trying to get it where I want it. And then it's gonna land.
Okay, can you show the one-touch takeoff and
That's
land?
the landing, and that's the takeoff. So you press this to take off. So it's supposed to go to about, what do they say, about 5-6 feet?
Is that what it is?
Okay, so now I'm gonna land here where it's lower than where we had been, okay? You can still control all your axis of control. Now it's landed, but it's at a different height, obviously. So when I take off, watch about how high it goes. I am controlling it just to kind of keep it away from the other aircraft over there. Woo! You'll notice something. When I have my hands off of this, it's still trying to fly. And look what it's doing. It's resisting all this movement, okay? It's trying to hold still. So if I were to let go, it's gonna find the level it was at, and then it's gonna stay there. If I press up, it's gonna go up. It's gonna try to go up. When I press down, it's gonna try to go down. So it'll eventually slow down to where it's trying to drop out of the sky. If you wanna stop it, you have to press that button, and it's gonna try to land. When it perceives it stops moving, then it's gonna stop. So the reason I do that is so that you guys can see, if you get this for a kid, first of all, this is a little bit bigger, and we'll hold that thought for just a second. So this is the E129, okay, which is also an Eachine product. Look at the size difference, guys. Not a huge difference in size, but you know, if you get whacked in the face with one of these, I would prefer it be the 129 over the 130. Yeah. So, but again, we're not talking about a big difference in size. So you just need to keep that in mind when you're making your decision about what you want to be crashing into your inner decorations and Christmas trees. Speaking of, let's crash into the Christmas tree, because this is the type of things you expect on Brian Phillips YouTube. Can I crash into your tree, cam crew?
Don't mess up the ribbon.
I'll try not to mess up the ribbon.
Or your plane that's sitting there.
Yeah, I'm gonna crash into it over here, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so it stopped. We're gonna give it a second. Didn't damage the tree. Did it damage the helicopter?
Doesn't look like it.
You gotta remember, this is the sort of thing that would be awesome to open on Christmas morning. Let's take off from here, see if anything's broken. We'll just take it off over by all these other aircraft. Okay, one touch key. I push it away so it didn't hit the ceiling. It's very touchy on the controls, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. This is very easy to fly. The camera crew could totally fly this. You wanna fly it, camera crew?
I think we've established that doesn't go very well.
Okay, now when I hold that stick down on the counter, watch what happens. Eventually it shuts off. So you can look at these instructions as a rule of thumb, and these instructions as a rule of thumb, but they're not exactly clear.
No.
And that's typical of all the Eachine and XK and all the other Chinese lines, the JJRC, the Flybear, WL Toys. They're all Chinese sort of Chinglish. They're not really English, okay? Yeah. So take off. Now, is that not cool? Oh, and by the way, you abort the process of going up when you press up or down during the takeoff, okay? So I'm gonna show you that here real quick. So when you land, hold the stick down, or you can just press the one touch land. Okay, so watch the one touch. Normally it's gonna shoot up to about here, okay? Or if it was on the ground, about here. So like eye level if you're a 6 foot tall guy. Okay? So I'm gonna press the up and watch what happens. It's where I want it, so I'm gonna just move the stick for throttle, okay? Then it stops going up. It really does a pretty good job of staying where it wants to be. But I'm talking about in terms of altitude, the barometer is very good on this. So I believe this is running off of a barometer, which is amazing that they can put that in that little dinky flight controller. I don't feel afraid of it because I don't think it would hurt that bad to get hit, but I still don't want to get hit in the face with it. It's pretty easy to fly. I mean, there's a lot of, when you fly these helicopters and you get between these objects like this, that's usually when it gets really turbulent. You want to try flying down the stairway for them, just to show them how it works? Or should we land on the couch first? Okay, so this is a one-touch landing test. See, we're losing some altitude. I had to actually help it along there. Oh, aborting it. If you press up, it'll abort. Okay, so I'm flying it now, and it stopped the landing process. Let's land on this column here, camera crew.
Okay.
So if you want to land on this column, you can do it two ways. See, that's pretty hard. That's one of those times when you like don't want to be doing RC reviews. Because I hit the wall and I did mark it. See, look.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Right here.
Oh, yeah. That looks magic eraser.
That'll magic erase off. But the reason we show you that stuff is because if you're going to give this to your kid, you'll know where to tell them not to fly it. Now, did anybody get hurt? No.
If you were flying down the stairs, you could have flown down the stairs.
I'm going to one-touch takeoff. Are you ready?
Yep.
I want to be able to press the throttle and just take off on my own. Because even though that thing looks rock solid, and it really does, it's just there's something about wanting to have that sense of control. Because there are proportional controls, but there's a lot of expo in this. So what that means is that the middle of the stick throw, there's not much that's happening. And you can see as I move my stick, there's no change in state until you get out here. You see that? That's because there's expo on these controls. They've designed that into it so that when you move it just barely, it doesn't do anything, okay? But when you move it a lot, it gives the full output. So that was in medium controls. So then when I click, it'll go to high controls. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, one-touch takeoff. Whew, that's way more touchy. So it's way more touchy. It's definitely not hard to control for me, but I mean, I fly the real helicopters. I would say that you would definitely not want to start a kid on this at high control. You want to go to the M for medium instead of H for high.
Is there low or only medium and high?
There's only medium and high on this, even though the controller appears to support low as well.
Right.
Okay? So you can go a lot faster, you can get into trouble faster, you can crash faster on high. If you're outside, you'll probably want to fly on high so that you can resist wind better. Okay? It's really pretty. It looks like it's going to work well. I really like the design. The weight is perfect. It's very light. It seems to work well. Let's try landing here. Okay, so that was not a one-touch landing, but you'll notice one thing. When you go to land, you have to really be careful to kind of hold that stick straight down so you don't give it yaw control. Okay, so that's a discipline thing that you can learn. We've been flying for a long time. This thing has got pretty good battery life.
Yeah.
I'm curious how it'll hold up to the wind outside, and I'm just looking out at the windsock. I think it would be worth trying just to demonstrate if it's gonna work, so we'll pause and get our shoes on.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna try this. The windsock shows you that there's some wind, but the building is blocking a lot of it right at the moment. So one-touch takeoff. Okay, I'm gonna go out here. I'm in high rate. Worst case scenario, I'll slam it into the ground if it wants to get blown at us. Whoa. Seem to be doing okay. I can't help but feel like it's maybe like running low on power, but maybe it's just because we're not inside. Oh, it's because it's resisting the wind. That's full speed. So you see that, how it's resilient? It's resisting the wind. Oh yeah, there's some wind. The stabilizer's working really well. But now if I were trying to fly in a circle, it'd be a little bit of a different story. I'm gonna go up a little higher to avoid that little shepherd's hook. See, that's all I've got. I'm trying to go forward right now. Whoa, boy. See, this is what you do. Now you just put the stick down and land it. If it starts getting away from you, and I guarantee that just crashed, so let's go look at it.
Okay.
Okay, so it was sitting here spinning, but I just pressed the down button to get it to land. So one-touch takeoff. See? Holding the down stick until it stops. See, it caught a blade of grass in the tail, and that was stopping it from spinning, therefore I couldn't take off. But you guys can see and feel this wind. I don't know if you can see the wind so much.
You can't feel it,
but you can feel it. It's cold. So that being said, what I want to try to do is I want to see if I can take off. You good?
Yeah.
See? See the problem with landing in grass? I press the one touch button. If your grass is really short, you won't have any problem. Or if you're landing on pavement, you're good. But I can tell you right now, this thing is not gonna stand up to much wind. So you need to be aware of that, which is fine with me. So we'll pick it back up inside. So basically in closing, guys, this model is a great little toy. Definitely not like a hobby grade sort of thing. We got a brushed motor. If it comes with 4 batteries and you can fly this thing for an hour, there's gonna be tons of fun involved. The E129 had the specially made batteries that would just slide in and out, super easy to work with. But that means you're married to that charger. It's only ever gonna work with that charger. This one here, you can use a regular balance charger. So if you have other RC related products and you've got another charger that you want to use, you can do it this way. You can do it a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. So that's definitely something to consider. I like this Heli because it's big enough that it's kind of fun, but it's not so big that it's going to destroy everything in your house. Because as you can see, crashing into the tree didn't really do much damage. If you crashed into a vase with a plant in it or something like that, you probably would do a little damage. If you crashed into a cat, I don't know how that would work. I'm sure the cat would be really annoyed with you, but I don't think you'd actually hurt anything. The other thing too to keep in mind, both with this and the 129, they both do not shut off immediately upon crashing. So whatever the crash is, it's going to sit there and flop around for a few seconds. So when considering this for your kids, figure out, would this size be better in that environment or would this size be better in that environment? This thing weighs maybe a third or a quarter as much. We'll link to both of them. They're both really fun toys. I kind of like the bigger one a little bit better. What does the camera crew have to say?
Can I give you the mom-wife opinion? If you're getting a gift for your husband or yourself, or you have an older kid that has some RC stuff that's flown stuff before and you just want something that's like fun inside while the weather is crummy, this would be totally appropriate, the 130. If you're getting this for a kid that's maybe like 9 or 10 that hasn't really flown much before and they're just kind of getting started, I would do the 129. In my opinion, like knowing what I know from seeing all this stuff on the backside of things.
Yeah, this E129 would be great for a less experienced.
That would be fun for anybody.
Yeah, this is like an anybody toy.
Yeah.
You can get, this is like the little quads that you can get at the supermarket during Christmas season. And then Eachine actually has a few of those as well. And they're very fun and they're very inexpensive. This thing is very inexpensive. Yeah. Very inexpensive. This is cheap too, but it's a lot cheaper. So if you're looking for something that you can get 2 or 3 and you can give them out to your husband and 2 kids or your, whatever it is, a group of people and you don't want to spend quite so much, maybe you can do that. Or you get this for him and you get this for the kids. You get 3 of these for the kids. It'd be very fun. I mean, you can get these things and run them into each other. And, if you break them, they're so easy to fix, but at the same time, they're not going to last forever.
Right.
Just looking at this mechanism, it's not exactly, look at the motor in there. That motor is a brushed motor. This motor is a brushed motor. They're not going to last forever either way you go, but look at the motor on this. It's got a big heavy duty heat sink. It's just a lot nicer motor. It's also going to be more demanding because it's a bigger aircraft and it's a lot heavier. Like I said, this thing probably weighs not even as much as the battery. So just as a comparison. Definitely like them both. They're really well done. Definitely toy grade, definitely not hobby grade. But Eachine also has some hobby grade stuff that's really good. And if you want to see that stuff, just check the description. Go ahead and buy this if you like it. Help support the channel. You can hit like to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, and then click the bell for notifications if you want to see new stuff we do. But either one of these would be a great little gift idea. If you're an airplane or heli enthusiast, this would be a good one. Also, if you want the more advanced stuff, just go through the playlists and you can scroll through and just kind of see the pictures. And then from there, you should be able to choose. And then, of course, we'll have links in those too. So any other final thoughts?
No, I think that's pretty
It's
good.
cool.
Yeah,
Definitely come back for more. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you liking and subscribing. We'll see you on the next one.